You ever talk to your parents and they talked about how they were like when they were younger?
Back in my day?
Back in my day.
How so? How so?
Just talking to my parents and, whenever they go out to a party with their mates or whatever, whenever they were teenagers. And they would just tell their parents, okay, I'm going, hang out with friends, bye. And there would be no way to contact them.
Yeah.
And you would just, as a parent, you would just have to hope your kids are alive.
I think because like obviously if contacting them is never an option and it's never been an option, then it's something that you're like, oh no, this is normal. Yeah. Right. Like, and I think that the moment phones get introduced, you're like, oh now I can check because that feeling where you'd be worried, you just convince yourself, oh no, this happens all the time. Yeah. Right. But now it's like, okay, you can just message. Yeah. And now they didn't reply. You're like, right. Oh, fuck.
Then you start to freak out.
Yeah, right. So I think that we're just really good at adapting to whatever circumstance we're in. And if we don't have a way of contacting, we don't give a fuck. We'll adapt. But if we do, then we're like, oh God, oh God, oh God.
God, I remember my mom talking about, early in her life, going through some long distance relationships and having to wait months.
That is weird.
For a physical letter.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, I cannot even fathom that.
Yeah, that's weird.
People in the 1800s are like, first time.
Yeah, that's strange to me.
Someone just dropped in my DMs, man. Look at this.
But I guess it was normal.
All right, sweet.
But it's also like, how maybe you go to the onsen, right? Like you get naked and that's a completely normal concept. But in the Western world, it's not a concept anymore. But maybe it was at one point. But it's like we just get told things that like this is normal. This is normal behavior. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, okay, cool. And we just adapt. Like straight up.
Yeah. I think humans are just very, we're very good at adapting to situations. Sure. We're very good at adapting even to uncomfort and. Even if a situation is bad, our brain is just, I think, built to just adapt to it. Just because sometimes it takes more effort to try and combat it than to actually just go along with it. Yeah. And that's why, like, sometimes when I am on YouTube Shorts and TikTok a lot of times, sometimes I can, like, it's almost like I can feel my brain chemistry changing sometimes. And as soon as I feel that, like, hook, I'm like, no, this is an uncomfortable feeling. I'm going to stop now. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to be here for 3 hours.
I think it makes me dumber.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
It makes me dumber. Like, I genuinely feel like I lose intelligence every day. Maybe that's just a me thing.
No, I think so as well because, okay.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
That sounds like a you problem, bro.
I don't know what you guys have been recommended recently. Like, I don't know why I've been recommended this shit recently, but I feel like every other YouTube short or TikTok I've been recommended recently is a fucking clip from some podcast or something, and they talk about this random historic fact. And then the evidence.
Did you know that in the Egyptian days they didn't have ADHD? Yeah. They used to just spank them into it, and it's like, and then they have that.
They just executed them.
They have that one TikTok music. You know the exact ones like.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh, the one where he is.
Oh yeah. The Stranger Things theme.
Yeah. And it's just like, did you know about this piece of evidence that we uncovered in the Amazon rainforest that no one talks about? Yeah. Lost civilization. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. And I'm just like, why are these all getting recommended to me some way?
And I'm like, you know what? You got me. Let's see the next one.
I'm like, you know what? That is pretty strange that there are pyramids all over the world and everyone decided to build them in the same shape. Oh no, wait. How many possible shapes can you arrange like stone blocks? There's like, you can give like a 5-year-old Legos and he'd probably be able to build the Great Pyramids of Giza by himself, Yeah. And it's, I don't know. There are a lot of TikTok holes and YouTube short holes that you can easily fall into. And I feel like sometimes it makes you feel smarter while you're watching it and then you stop it and you're like, I think I actually got dumber.
Like, I've watched so many Netflix documentaries we've talked about like 1 million times on this podcast, and I barely retain any of that information. And I don't know why. Why do I not retain any information from stuff I watch?
I think it's because it's not significant to your life at that moment, right? Or probably for the foreseeable future, right? Because if it's like, if it's something that has to do directly with like, your way of living, right? Yeah. Say if it's like, oh, I got to learn how to use this new piece of tech or a new software that actually is going to help me in the future, then you're going to retain that information. Yeah. But if it's like, oh, I watched this documentary on, Jeffrey Epstein and why he was a, horrible fucking person, right? Then it's like, okay, well, that's information that's good to know, but it's not integral to my survival,
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't know.
Like, I sat through the whole fucking Epstein documentary, and the only thing I fucking pertained was that he was a piece of shit. That's
well, yeah,
I saw all the details, and I'm like, do I remember any of the details? Not really.
It is weird. I don't know why we like. I when I see people who are like know everything about a show they love, I'm like, God, I wish I had that. I wish I cared to retain any information about half the shit I watch.
I don't know. I feel like that actually loses. What do you mean? They know everything.
Like when you hear about people who are like obsessed with like Star Wars and they can just tell you every little detail about it. I'm like, man.
Yeah, but that's probably their life, right? Like that's what
their thing. Yeah, but I wish I had that passion to give a fuck to remember anything. I've watched so many anime, and I feel like more than half, like 2/3. Like I watched all of Chainsaw Man, and I forgot who Aki was. I was like, Maylene was like, oh yeah, like Aki, that character. I was like, who's the fuck? I'm like, who the fuck is Aki? Okay. She's like the wolf guy. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess. I just remember Denji and Makima and Power. Like
I kind of get that because I think this just reflects my real life as well. I'm just awful with names.
I'm so bad.
I'm so bad at names.
Like I have so many people who have meeten up with like 3 or 4 times, and I feel like I'm too deep to ask them for their name again. Okay, but I don't know it.
Yeah,
I'm
like, isn't that bad?
No. I'm exactly like 3 is like the magic number, right? And then like. After 3, I'm like, this is too much. This is too much. There's so many times I've met a person or I've met someone.
But it's like YouTubers, right? Because they have screen names. And I know their screen name, but I don't know their real name.
Yeah. I have this, I'm going to call myself out on this, but every time I meet someone new and maybe like I exchange lines with them, right?
Yeah.
You know how you can like change the names to whatever on your contacts, right? I do this thing where just so I don't forget who they are, I put their name and then in brackets I put in where I met them. Okay. as their contact name. So it'd be like if I met a guy called like Jacob in Osaka, right? And it was like the first time I met him, I barely talked to him, but we exchanged lines. In my line, his contact would be Jason, and then in brackets, guy I met in Osaka.
That seems so inefficient.
No, because it helps me to remember.
This is like Memento. Like you're chasing the plot to find out. No,
but then because I've had so many moments where if it was just the name, maybe we don't message for a while, right? And then I suddenly get a message from Jason like a couple of months later, and I'll be like, who the fuck's this guy again?
God, I play this game every time I have a family reunion. I played this game at my recent wedding in Thailand. When hopefully none of my family's watching this right now, but I'd be talking to one of my aunts or one of my cousins or something. Haven't met them in a while, and I'd be like. It's even harder because they have Thai names as well. Right, so my brain is trained obviously to English names, to Western names because that's the environment I grew up in. So I know that I only have a certain amount of cousins and I've met all of my cousins and I remember all of the name of my cousins. But sometimes I'm like, are you this name?
Yeah, when you mix it up,
or are you that name? And I'm like,
mixing up is so bad.
And like I love all of my family and we have a great time every time we meet them. But this time especially was like an especially extended period since I've met a lot of my extended family. And some of my cousins I actually used to be really close to. And it's because it's just been so long. I remember being at the wedding and a few times my cousin's like, yeah, do you remember when we did this when we were kids? And I was like, fuck, that was a good memory. And in my mind I was like, shit, what was his name again? Is it this P or is it that P? I was just like,
it's like, do you remember Paul? And it's like, my name's Pete. It's like, oh yes, of course, I knew that.
Yeah, so still got to like try and figure out what I know. There's a probable life hack to be like, how do you ask for someone's name without knowing you're asking for someone's name? You know?
I think it's impossible.
I think
you just have to bite the bullet, and if you think you're gonna get caught out, you just got to be like, what's your name?
Yeah, especially if it's just the two of you, then it's impossible. But if there's like a third person there, then you can just be like, please say his name.
So I had like dinner with this guy who's a YouTuber, and he was talking about how he met another YouTuber who doesn't say their name, but he also doesn't say his name publicly. And so he's saying about how he couldn't remember the guy's name that he told him one time, and I was like, that's so funny. Meanwhile, I was thinking, fuck, I can't remember your name. I was like, and I thought in my head, I'm like, I should just ask now. This is the perfect opportunity, and I didn't, and I regretted it so much. much because I still don't know their name.
To this day.
I still don't, and I've hung out with them 3 times.
Yeah. It's like,
But I know their YouTube name.
Right.
Yeah,
And I'm like, and on everything I have him on, his real name is not on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I gotta figure out how to
At
get
that point, I'm just like, I'm sorry to sound like an asshole, but
I
tell
mean,
me what your name is again.
Obviously, it would be totally fine if I just say it.
Yeah.
If I just
Yeah.
say, I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I forgot your name. No one's gonna give a fuck.
No.
But also, it's like, I don't know, in your head for some reason you think it's always gonna be worse than it is. So you
Yeah,
just
of course,
you kick it down the road and hope they say it.
It's like, yeah.
it's like so bad for me that sometimes I ask for someone's name, and as like they say it, I like, oh, that's cool,
And I'll immediately forget it.
and you just you immediately just forget it, and
I have had that.
they literally said their name like 5 microseconds ago, and you're like, I've already forgotten it.
I wish I was as good with names as I was with faces. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I'm so good with faces. Like I remember
Yeah.
I retain faces really well, but not names.
Yeah.
I think that's very common though.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I feel because like I'm so bad with names, but like when I would look at a face of like a photo, like in real life, and I'd be like, I've definitely met you before.
Yeah.
I just forgot what your name was and what you do. But I know we've met somewhere. I recognize that face from somewhere.
Whenever I think I know someone's face at like a fan meetup, like if they've come a few times
Yeah.
over however long,
Yeah.
I'll always go for it. I'm like, have I met you before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 90% of the time they're like, nope. And I'm like, I don't think so either.
No. Then you can use that to be like, oh,
like,
okay, because you.
The one time you do remember,
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
yo.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to break everyone's streams here. I said, do you definitely met
No,
before?
I say, you see, if I've been in situations like that before with fans, and I like how I kind of get myself out of it would be like, oh, because you look like someone I've met before.
Yeah.
No, because I feel like I just got on the full limb, dick on table. I'm like, I've met you before.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no.
Well, that's your problem. You don't come in as a question.
Because the payoff is so good like that. Like I feel like because a few times I've been right. I'm not just saying this to everyone. Everyone's gonna start trolling me with this now. But the few times I did get it right, they would all look so genuinely happy that I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, but like the think about like the rate. That's like being like, this next Pokemon move gonna be critical hit.
Well,
it's like
well, it was
the
like,
success rate is so
I
low.
think as time went on, and obviously the audience grew, I got worse at it.
Of
But,
course,
like,
yeah.
For the first few years, I was so good at this.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
retained names. Not names. I retained faces so well, and I remember who I had met. For
sure.
But then sometimes people are like, "Do you remember me?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Oh, I cosplayed this person." I'm like, well, help me out here. You were cosplaying. How am I supposed to remember you?
Yeah.
Or like the worst is sometimes people come up to you. I think I've said this before on the podcast. I'll be like, "Do you remember me? I tweeted at you." I'm like, oh, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, my Twitter name is this, and I have this anime character as my profile picture." I'm like, "How would I put that together? How?"
It's like I've never seen you.
I haven't seen your face. I haven't seen your name, and now you come to me in person with a name, and you think I can connect the two? How?
It's like, oh yes, Jason, anime fan 247 with Nagatoro as a profile picture. I knew that.
Yeah,
Obviously.
You look like a Nagatoro kind of guy. It's your fun now.
I remember the best, like one of the best saves I've ever done in my life.
Sure.
Regarding this was, this is also back in university, and I was at a party, and got along really well with this guy, and I was like, yeah, let's hook up, let's hang out again. I'd asked for his name multiple times in this party. You know, this was like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And he goes, sure, just this is like college. You know, this is college for me, so everyone's still using Facebook. He was like, sure, just add me on Facebook. Single sweat starts dropping, and I'm like,
No, you just be like, what's the second?
yeah. I was like, so initially I was like, so how do you spell your name again? And he goes, Dave. And I'm like, oh shit, he knows, he definitely knows. And like, I just had this moment where it was just like, no, your second name.
Smart. Save. Smart.
Oh, fuck it. I still think back to that moment. You know, sometimes you get like a memory, and I think back to that moment all the time.
Like, Dave, are you Dave?
Yeah,
what's the second name?
Second
Dave?
name.
Come on,
Dave. No, I'm not an idiot.
Dave.
No, oh my god, you just remember the worst one I had was like years ago. I did some work for like this Japanese gaming company, right?
Yeah.
And I met like a bunch of their team, right? There's like 3 or 4 of them all together, right? And you know, obviously a lot of like new faces and stuff. And then the head guy I was in contact with was like, okay, you know, we'll keep working together. I'll make a line group with all of us, all of them that you met. And I'm like, okay, sweet, you know, because I wasn't going to go home and remember these names. I'm just straight up. But it was so bad because it was me and these 4 other Japanese people. 3 of them have the exact same surname.
What is it, like Yamaguchi?
It was like Sato.
Oh, Sato.
And I'm just like, which one was which? Which Sato are you? Because it's just says Sato-san for all of them. And I'm like, you got to help me out here, bro. Like,
Bro.
at least put your picture or like, you know, what position you're in, like in the company or something. I'm like, which Sato am I supposed to contact? It's fucking horrible.